You treat your work like a system, but your workouts like a lottery. Most high performers stay stuck on a hamster wheel, not because they lack effort, but because they lack data. I spent 13 years refining a system that solves this. Here is exactly how to build a lean, muscular body without letting fitness take over your life. Most people see zero return on effort in the gym because they fall victim to the body's power-saving mode. Think of your brain like a cheap CFO managing two teams, the interns, type 1 fibers, who do the cheap busy work, and the closers, type 2 fibers, who drive all the growth. The CFO follows a strict rule. He refuses to pay for the closers until the interns are completely exhausted. Only when the system is in crisis does he authorize the budget for the closers. So if you stop a set because it starts to burn, you paid the full price to tire out the interns, but you clocked out the second the closers entered the room. You incurred all the overhead of time, joint stress, fatigue, without capturing the profit. I watched this overhead trap play out for a decade on the gym floor. You'd see the same faces grinding for years, sweating buckets, but looking exactly the same. They weren't lazy, they were just inaccurate. Research confirms that our internal gauges are broken. When the average lifter thinks they have 2 reps left in the tank, studies show they actually have 8. They are stopping when it hurts, not when it works. We need to stop negotiating with feelings and start auditing performance. First, watch your rep speed. When the weight slows down and gets grindy, do not rack it. That slowdown proves the interns have failed and the closers have finally arrived. Second, never start without a number. You can't rely on a feeling to find that grind. If you hit 10 reps last week, your contract today is 11. You're now chasing a number, not a feeling. And finally, when you're within 5 reps of that target, flip the script and start counting down to 0. This quiets the quit signal by forcing your brain to focus on the destination, not the burn. You need that same precision with your nutrition, but without the social cost. That's why I built The Swap. It's a free pocket coach that generates the perfect order for any restaurant. It even has a subtle mode, so you can hit your fat loss targets during a client dinner without being the diet guy. It turns a stressful negotiation into a simple execution. I've linked it for free in the description. But optimizing your sets is useless if you are bankrupting your schedule with gym admin, which brings us to the biggest time thief in modern fitness. If you have 45 minutes to train, you do not have the budget for a 20-minute warm-up. Most professionals treat the warm-up as a separate workout with endless foam rolling and stretching. You may view that time as an insurance policy for flexibility, but you're paying premiums on a policy that doesn't cover you. I know this because I was that guy. I used to spend 30 minutes rolling around on the floor doing scorpion stretches to get mobile, but I was wasting my time. Science shows that static stretching just pulls the rubber band, it doesn't lengthen it. True flexibility comes from load. When you squat deep with your weight, your body doesn't just stretch, it structurally renovates. It literally adds new links to the muscle chain to handle the range of motion. You don't get flexible by pulling on a muscle, you get flexible by building it. Real safety doesn't come from being loose, it comes from being calibrated. And this is why we swap stretching for ramping. The primer here is a 5-minute fast walk to break a sweat. Then you're done. The ramp up involves going directly to your first exercise. Do a set with the empty bar, then 50% and then 75% of your working weight. If your knee twinges a bit with the empty bar, you can fix it now by adjusting your range and your stance. By the time you hit your working weight, you haven't just warmed up, you verified the system. This is how you prevent injury, through feedback. But saving time on the warm-up is only half the battle. You need a safety net for the days when your calendar explodes and you only have 30 minutes. The barrier here is the all or nothing mindset. You think if you can't do the perfect workout, you shouldn't do any workout. You never skip a meeting just because you had to cut it short. You just get to the point faster. Nothing prepared me for this better than my client Cornelius. He was a district manager, constantly fighting the clock. He'd often burst through the doors 20 minutes late, leaving us with only 30 minutes to train. We couldn't do perfect, so we just did dense. And the crazy part, he dropped 21 pounds of fat in 12 weeks and built muscle on a 30-minute clock. We started by pushing 2 hard sets for each exercise very close to failure. This triggers 90% of the growth signal. Sets 3 and 4 offer marginal gains for double the time cost, so we cut them. Next, we paired opposite muscles like chest and back. We didn't just do this to save time, we did it to hack performance. Normally, your opposite muscle acts like a parking brake and stays tight for stability. By working the back first, you drive it to fatigue and go slack so your chest can generate more force. This naturally creates an active rest dividend, where you are technically resting longer between sets for the same muscle compared to straight sets. The result is you can lift heavier without adding a single minute to the clock. Now, when the gym was packed, we would just claim one piece of real estate. You can do your dumbbell bench and immediately flip over for rows, or camp out at a single cable stack for your curls and extensions. You can get double the work done without hoarding equipment. But speed creates a hidden tax. If you rush these supersets just to check a box, you destroy the advantage you just created. We need to audit how you move the weight. When the clock is ticking, the instinct is to rush, dropping the weight fast and bouncing out of the bottom. This creates a double negative, where you leak efficiency by bouncing and shift tension away from the muscle onto your connective tissue. The bounce also spikes the forces on your joints exactly when they are most vulnerable. You may think you're saving time, but you're just operating at a loss while risking injury. I used to be that guy loading up the bench with 225, unracking it and dropping it on my chest like an anvil to bounce it back up. I thought I was strong, but I was completely missing the point, and my chest didn't grow. I didn't realize your tendons act like springs. When you drop a weight quickly, you utilize elastic recoil. Research shows that this contributes up to 50% of the force in a lift. That means for half the rep, your muscles aren't working, your tendons are giving you a free ride. But the ride isn't free. Tendons stiffen when loaded fast, so if you dive bomb a squat, your quads don't catch the weight, your meniscus does. This is why muscle tears happen at the exact moment of a bounce. The fix is simple, just control and stop. The lowering eccentric phase generates high tension and trains the muscle at long lengths, which research proves is important for growth. So don't waste it. Make sure you pause for a full second at the bottom. This kills the elastic energy and forces the tendons to stand down so that the muscle fibers can generate tension from a dead stop. It's going to feel harder, but think of it as honest work. It forces the muscles to do the job that tendons want to cheat. Your rep count might go down, but your return on investment doubles. But airtight execution is useless if you change the plan every time you get bored. Most high performers unknowingly bankrupt their progress because they mistake novelty for optimization. You change your program every 4 weeks because you are told to confuse the muscle, but you aren't confusing the muscle, you're just confusing your nervous system and prioritizing new over results. I lived this mistake for years. I changed my exercises every single session, was always sore, and my strength flatlined. Think of a new exercise like hiring a new employee. Even if they work hard from day one, they aren't profitable yet. They spend the first month just learning the systems. In the gym, this is the learning tax. Building muscle is biologically expensive, so your body fights it. It would rather solve the problem with efficiency first, so it spends the first 6 weeks just writing the mental software for coordination before it finally agrees to upgrade your muscle hardware. Because I kept switching scripts, I was forever stuck in this onboarding phase. I finally started to grow once I learned to embrace the boredom. I stopped chasing new and locked the same exercises in for a 12-week period. This didn't just build muscle, it bought back my time. Because I wasn't wasting it setting up new machines or learning new movements, I simply walked in, executed the plan on my Google Sheet, and walked out. I remember a chat with my client Brad from my gym floor days. He asked me, why aren't we switching it up? I looked at him and said, Brad, are you here to be entertained or are you here to be effective? Because if you want random fun, that's what group classes are for. But if you want a result, you have to treat the gym like your business. Keep it predictable, keep it consistent, and the profit flows. Now, with your training locked in, you're going to be driving progress on purpose. You've created the demand, but all this effort is wasted if you don't supply the raw materials. We often fall for the more is better trap, but more protein does not mean more growth, and more supplements do not mean quicker results. At my heaviest, I weigh 235 pounds, and I follow the standard rule of eating 1 gram of protein per pound of weight, but I felt like garbage all the time. I didn't realize that unlike muscle, body fat has a very small protein turnover. It doesn't need constant repair. I was overeating on protein I didn't need because I was fueling 235 pounds of weight, not muscle. I was also dropping $300 a month on fat-burning supplements, not realizing I was paying a premium for a placebo. In fact, a 2021 review looked at 315 studies and found that only 5% showed any significant result. In those rare cases, the impact was a few pounds. That's the same as walking for an extra 15 minutes. The reality was when I lost 20 pounds, 19 of those came from my diet and training. So the fix is simple: feed the asset, not the liability. If you have more than 30 pounds to lose, ignore your scale weight. Eat 1 gram of protein per pound of your goal weight. It'll be doable, digestible, and it's all you need. For supplements, there is only one guaranteed return on investment: creatine monohydrate. It's the most researched sports supplement in history. It recycles ATP, your body's energy currency, letting you squeeze out extra reps that trigger growth. But to get that performance dose of 5 grams naturally, you need to eat 3 pounds of red meat. That's 3,000 calories and $60 a day. That math doesn't work, so supplement for 30 cents. And if you're worried about hair loss, just relax. That fear is based on a single flawed study from '09. Modern trials found zero difference in thinning. I've taken it daily for 13 years. It's safe, effective, and cheap. Save your money on the pills and put it towards a meal prep service that buys you back your time and your health. But when meal prep fails and you end up at a restaurant, you need a plan B. Use the swap to generate a word-for-word script for the waiter. You just enter the restaurant and it tells you exactly what to say to save 500 calories without sacrificing the flavor. Don't blow a week of progress on one bad meal. Grab the free tool in the description. We've optimized your time, technique, and fuel, but the system fails the moment you wait for a feeling to show up. The reality is, if you wait until you feel motivated to work out, you will never work out. Motivation is a depreciating asset. It fluctuates with your stress, your fatigue, and relying on it is bad business. Fitness is my life, yet after 13 years, I rarely want to wake up at 5 a.m. to crush a workout. My client Derek was struggling with this exact friction last month. He texted me to say he kept missing morning sessions because he woke up feeling tired and uninspired. I told him the truth. Derek, you've got the order wrong. The biggest fallacy in fitness is thinking you need to feel good to get started. The data shows the opposite. Action creates motivation. You don't feel good to get started, you start so that you can feel good. Once Derek realized that the feeling comes after the warm-up, not before, we could finally begin building momentum. Because he treated the gym like a flexible option, we changed it to a non-negotiable meeting. He told himself that he trains at 6 a.m. no matter what. This removed the negotiation he would normally lose. Next, he stopped telling himself, I am trying to lose weight, and started identifying as the kind of person who doesn't miss. When the identity changed, his behavior followed. On tougher mornings, he had permission to quit after just 5 minutes, but he had to walk into the gym. Science proves that once you're in the door and you start, the dread vanishes and the work gets done. Derek went from skipping twice a week to barely missing. Using these tools, you will too. You've got the full system to maximize your time in the gym, but that effort is all for nothing if you ignore the 5 invisible habits that are silently deleting your progress the moment you leave the gym. If your stomach is refusing to shrink no matter how hard you train, check out this video where I expose the blind spots that are keeping you stuck.